Yeah, it was bonkers at times. It was end to end, but Real Madrid, they hung on in there. They looked in deep difficulty on more than one occasion, falling 2 goals behind on 3 occasions, but they kept coming back for more and led superbly from the top by Karim Benzema again. 2 brilliant goals for him, 1 fantastic individual effort from Vinicius Jr. means it's just a 1-goal advantage for Manchester City to take to Madrid in a week's time. It was thrill-a-minute stuff, and maybe worth mentioning again, the game at the outset that could have been anything gave us everything. It has finished a 7-goal thriller. Manchester City 4, Real Madrid 3.
Welcome back. Well, where do you start when you're reflecting on a game like that? An incredible night. I read an article say about brilliant Champions League semi-finals, and that certainly has to be right up there. Richie, where do you start? Well, like, I don't know what to say about that. Chaotic.
It was one of the brilliant classic semi-finals. City, conservatively, we could say, could have won 8-3. There was moments in the end where one would have finished 4-all. City deservedly won the game. I think both managers will have grounds to be livid with elements of their own performance. Both teams, for very different reasons, will go into the second leg believing there's a place in the final for them. It was a remarkable game.
What did you make of it, Didi?
Well, maybe it's a plan, or maybe it's Madrid's strategy to suck teams in and give them a false sense of security.
What?
They can't keep doing this.
Well, usually, if you go to the knockout stages of the Champions League, you've got 7 games in a perfect scenario. Now, if you go to the knockout stage of the Champions League, if you play 1 bad game, you're out. Because that's the quality, this is the depth of a competition. They played, I think, 3.5 bad games now. They were terrible against Paris.
And
PSG.
Yeah.
In Paris. They were terrible in the first half at home against Paris. They were dreadful in the second leg against Chelsea when they had the lead. And they were terrible today. Yet, they still go into the second leg with a very good opportunity to go through. Yes, City are favourites, but they've been behind 3 times with 2 goals tonight. They go home with a 4-3, and they will fancy their chances. And you've got to give him credit for still being in the competition, but at the same time, they've got to sort their midfield out, because Toni Kroos was out his depth tonight. He's been a terrific player, but he needs somebody next to him with a defensive mind. He's not a holding midfielder. He's not a ball winner. He doesn't read danger. And I think if they do get Casemiro back for the second leg, you know, they will fancy their chances. Can I see them go through? Well, I couldn't see them getting to the semis. I wouldn't be surprised if they get to the final. Like,
from a City perspective, Richie, like Pep Guardiola, you could see, and I know, look, you know, we're always looking at him on the line. We've got some great reactions from him in the first half with celebrations and then missed chances as well. But you could see him the last 10 minutes of the game. He looked absolutely livid.
I suppose if you assess a game in really simplistic terms, if you're a manager and you send your team out, like, did you create enough opportunities to score? Did you limit the opportunities of your opponent to score against you? And emphatically, they did that part of the game really, really well. And you can understand why he's livid, because he knows, obviously, the stakes, but he knows who he's up against. Everything Didi said, like, it's remarkable that Madrid are still in the position that they can go to the final. They were 2 goals behind Paris at one point. They were 3-0 down in the home leg in the second leg. They've been 2 goals down on 3 occasions in this game tonight. And absolutely, that dressing room will believe, at home, with a full crowd in the Bernabeu, this City team can be got at. And they will score.
On the flip side, what I just said about Madrid, obviously you've got to look at City. Was that a Champions League winning performance? No, it wasn't. Because the way they were superior tonight. They should have won the game at least by 2, probably with 3 goals. And I think City showed a side tonight. It started after 25-30 minutes where Ederson hung on to the ball, where they almost begging for Madrid to score. And I think they showed a complacency tonight I've never seen with them. And yes, City had Madrid had 4 or 5 opportunities. But the way they conceded the goals, obviously the penalties, I don't know what Laporte was thinking to raise his arm there. But for the second goal, I think Diaz has to come out a little bit quicker. It's far too easy. It's a ball from the fullback, and 5 seconds later we need to score. So at the same time, they have to defend better, they have to play better. And if you look at the other two teams who play tomorrow, especially Liverpool, if they saw that, you know, they'll be thinking, you know, if we get past Villarreal, whoever we play in the final, we will fancy our chances.
Yeah. Where do you think that, your view about complacency with City, where does that come from? Why be complacent in a Champions League semi-final?
Well, I'm not sure whether they were. Maybe it was just one of the things. But it started off with Ederson playing a ball into the edge of the box into a Madrid player where they got away with it. And obviously City would have watched the last 4 games or would have seen the last 4 games of Madrid. And, you know, people probably said, listen, don't underestimate them because it's Madrid and they can create something special because of the history of the club and everything else. But as Ronnie said, the history doesn't score goals. But maybe they went into the game thinking, yes, we don't underestimate them, but after 15, 20 minutes, they might have thought, you know, we could put the tie to bed. Yeah. And once you start thinking this, you know, things change, and they did change very quickly.
I don't believe that mindset was in those City players. That they got to the halfway point in the first half and thought, job done. They, like with Guardiola and managing, you see him from the side. We did, but it doesn't really matter. We can't influence the game.
They were destroying Real Madrid in the first half an hour.
If you run through the chances, in the first half alone, I think Foden's chance, Mahrez's chance. In the first moments of the second half, Mahrez hits the post, Foden has one cleared off the line. And then run on to Laporte's chance. Like, they should have scored probably 8 goals there today. And you're questioning whether this is a Champions League winning performance.
Yeah, but they conceded 3, Richie. They conceded 3.
They did.
They could have conceded 1 or 2 more. And, you know, there's 2 sides to it. And, you know, I don't question their attacking play. Attacking-wise, they've been brilliant.
If they were more clinical in those moments, we'd be sitting here going, they've just done Real Madrid 7-3.
But you've got to be clinical on both ends of the pitch. And at the back, they weren't. And this is not a performance, because if you get to that stage, as I said, usually one bad half or one bad game could knock you out of the competition. And this, today, they missed a golden opportunity to go through. And if they don't go through next week, which I don't think they will, but then tonight's game is to blame, because to concede 3 goals, being as superior, and they scored 4, don't forget, you can't score 4 goals every week. They scored 4 goals, and to be so superior and concede 3 goals is criminal.
In the second half, we'll show them now in a moment. There was 2 moments, obviously, they conceded the goal. The first was what we said at half-time, the duel between Vinicius and Fernandinho. That was always going to be difficult for Fernandinho, and they capitalised on it. The handball, like, what do we call it? That's not complacent, that's not unprofessional, that's not any of the criticisms, that's just one of those bizarre moments,
a
random thing that can happen in a frantic final moment of any game. So I wouldn't question the mentality or any of that from the City players, but what a game.
What a game is right, absolutely. By the way, City created 16 scoring chances, only hit the target 5 times. Real created 11, and they also hit the target 5 times. Leave that for now. Let's have a look.